Hello from Halifax. This is Jo with Jo to the World Creations, and today we're going to be making my gender-neutral baby blanket crochet pattern. I'm really excited to share this unisex crochet baby blanket with you, and we're going to be getting right to the video tutorial. All the details and the written instructions are available for free on my website, or you can purchase the ad-free print-ready PDF. There are links to both in the description below this video. All right, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot. So with my yarn, I'm going to make a loop, pull the end through the loop, pull tight, place the loop onto my hook, and once again, pull tight. Now we are going to chain 102. 1, 2, 3. So you go ahead, put me on pause, chain 102, and come back to the video. With 102 starting chains now complete, we're going to begin row 1. And for row 1, we are going to be working into the back ridge loops, which are these bumps along the back of the starting chains. And we're going to be working into them the whole way across the row. So to start, we're going to work in the second chain from the hook. So that's the first chain, that's the second one. And if you slightly twist, you can see the second back ridge loop right here. And that's the one we're going to work into. So into that second chain from hook, twist, insert your hook into the back ridge loop, and then we are going to slip stitch. So we're just going to bring our yarn through and then bring the yarn through that loop there. And that's our first slip stitch. Now working into the next back ridge loop, we are going to make a half double crochet stitch into that back ridge loop. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the next back ridge loop, yarn over again and pull up a loop, and now yarn over and pull my yarn through my 3 loops on my hook. And there's our half double crochet stitch now complete. In the next chain, again working into the back ridge loop, we're going to make another slip stitch. And whenever we make a slip stitch, please make your slip stitch as loose as possible. So inserting our hook to the back ridge loop, pulling through our yarn and pulling it through the loop, but keeping it nice and loose. Into the next chain, we're going to half double crochet. So yarn over, insert our hook into the back ridge loop, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull the yarn through the 3 loops. Now we're going to repeat what we've been doing. We're going to slip stitch in the next chain, half double crochet in the next chain, slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet all the way across. Now so the next stitch is going to be a slip stitch, and remember to make that nice and loose because we are going to be working into it in the next row. So after a slip stitch, we're going to half double crochet, and then make a slip stitch loosely, and then a half double crochet. And you're going to do this all the way across. Slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, all the way across until there is 1 chain left. So you go ahead and do that. Come back to the video when you have 1 chain left, and we'll do that together. So I am nearing the end of the row, and I have just completed a half double crochet stitch, and I have 3 stitches left. So I just thought I'd do the end of the row with you. So after completing a half double crochet stitch, I'm always going to do a slip stitch loosely. So I do a slip stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet stitch. And now I have 1, I keep calling them stitches, but technically in this row, they are chains. So I have 1 chain left. in that last chain, we are going to slip stitch. At the end of row 1, you should have 101 stitches. And for every single row in this entire pattern, you should have the exact same number of stitches, and that's 101 stitches. And for this pattern, chains don't count as stitches. So only count the slip stitches and half double crochet stitches we've made in this row. And then when we start to add other stitches, count everything but the chains. To start row 2, we are going to chain 1 and turn. For this pattern, we're always going to work into the very first stitch. So that's the stitch that's attached to that chain 1 that we just made. So even if the instructions say work into the next stitch and it's the first stitch, always work into the stitch attached to the chain. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to do is half double crochet into that first stitch. So into that first stitch, half double crochet. Into the next stitch, we are going to slip stitch. Now we're going to repeat half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch all the way across. So in the next stitch, half double crochet. In the next stitch, slip stitch. And again, keep working those slip stitches really loosely because we're always going to be working into them. If you can see, we've just done a slip stitch. Our next stitch is a half double crochet stitch. And so we're always working a half double crochet stitch into the slip stitch from the previous row. And in the next stitch, which is a slip stitch, we're working into the half double crochet stitch from the previous row. So it's going to start to be really evident of which stitches you're working into. But for now, as we set everything up, we are going to just remember we've just done a slip stitch. So the next stitch is a half double crochet. The next stitch is a slip stitch. So repeat half double crochet, slip stitch all the way across until you have one stitch left, and then come back to the video and we'll do that last stitch together. So I'm coming up at the end of row 2 here, and I've just completed a slip stitch. So my next stitch is going to be a half double crochet, followed by a slip stitch in the next stitch. And then with one stitch left, the last stitch of the row is a half double crochet stitch. And that completes row 2. Once again, you should have 101 stitches. To start row 3, we are going to chain 1 and turn. Working into the first stitch, because we always do that, we're going to slip stitch. In the next stitch, half double crochet. And we're going to be doing the same thing all the way across. Slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet all the way across. So you can go ahead and do that. Just always make sure to make your slip stitches nice and loose, and then make a half double crochet stitch after that and repeat it all the way until you have one stitch left. Then come back to the video and we'll complete the row together. I'm coming to the end of row 3, and I've just done a half double crochet stitch. So my next stitch will be a slip stitch in the next stitch, followed by a half double crochet stitch. And in the very last stitch, we're going to make a slip stitch. And that completes row 3. For the next 3 rows, you're going to complete row 2 and 3 again. So row 4 is going to be repeat row 2, row 5 will be repeat row 3, and row 6 will be repeat row 2. So after you've completed row 6, which is repeating row 2, come back to the video and we will do row 7 together. So I have just finished row 6, which was repeating row 2. And now I'm going to start row 7. And to do that, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. The instructions for this row begin with slip stitch in the next stitch, HDC or half double crochet in the next stitch. And those are in brackets and it's ×3. So what does that mean? What it means is working into the very first stitch, we are going to slip stitch. Working into the next stitch, we're going to half double crochet. So that completes the instructions in brackets 1 time, and we're going to do a total of 3 times. So in the next stitch, we're going to slip stitch. In the next stitch, half double crochet. That completes the instructions in the brackets twice, and now we're going to do it one more time. So slip stitch in the next stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch, and now we've completed the instructions in the brackets 3 times. With these 6 stitches now complete, that is the first part of the textured portion of the row. There's going to be plenty more as we keep going, but this is where you may want to add a stitch marker to the top of the last stitch that we made, which was a half double crochet. If you want to be able to easily keep track of your stitches, it's good to use a stitch marker in each of the sections so you know where you are in the row, but that's optional. Next, we're going to single crochet in the next 13 stitches. So in the very next stitch, make a single crochet. I'll do it slowly in case you're new to this. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull the yarn through, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull the yarn through the 2 loops on my hook. And there's my first single crochet stitch now complete. In the next stitch, make a single crochet stitch. So that's 2, and we're going to make 13 in total. So we've done 2, the next will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. You're welcome to place a stitch marker in the last single crochet stitch that you completed. Now we're going to do the textured section again, and the instructions say to half double crochet in the next stitch and slip stitch in the next stitch, and we're going to do both of those things a total of 3 times. So in the very next stitch, we're going to half double crochet and then slip stitch. That's completing the instructions in the brackets 1 time. We're going to do it again, half double crochet and then slip stitch, and that completes it twice. And one last time, half double crochet in the next stitch and slip stitch into the next stitch. You can place a stitch marker in that last stitch if you'd find that helpful. I won't be saying that again throughout this video, but if you'd like to use stitch markers, just place one at the end of every section. So the rest of the row is doing similar to what we've already done. So I'm going to go a little faster. And so in the next 13 stitches, we're going to single crochet across the next 13 stitches. So come back to the video when you have 13 completed. Next, we are going to slip stitch in the next stitch and half double crochet in the next stitch. That's 1, slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, that's 2, slip stitch, and half double crochet. And that makes a total of 3 times completing those instructions in the brackets. Once again, we're going to single crochet into the next 13 stitches. You go ahead and do that and come back to the video. With 13 single crochet stitches now complete, next instructions is to half double crochet in the next stitch and slip stitch in the next stitch. We're going to do that 3 times. So half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, and slip stitch. Once again, we're going to single crochet across the next 13 stitches. With 13 single crochet stitches now complete, we are going to slip stitch in the next stitch and half double crochet in the next stitch. We're going to do that 3 times. So slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, slip stitch in the next, and finally half double crochet in the next. Now we're going to, for the last time in this row, make single crochet stitches into the next 13 stitches. With 13 single crochet stitches now complete, you should have 6 stitches left in the row. In the next stitch, we are going to half double crochet, and in the next stitch, slip stitch. We'll do that 3 times. That was the first. The second will be half double crochet, and then slip stitch, and then half double crochet, and in the final stitch, slip stitch. Once again, you should have 101 stitches, and only count the single crochet stitches, the slip stitches, and the half double crochet stitches. We don't count the chain 1 that we made to start the row. To start row 8, we are going to chain 1 and turn. So to start, we are going to half double crochet in the first stitch, followed by slip stitch in the next stitch. And that completes the instructions in the brackets 1 time. We're going to do it a total of 3 times. In the next stitch, half double crochet. In the next stitch, slip stitch. That completes it twice. And then half double crochet in the next stitch and slip stitch into the next stitch. Now we're going to single crochet in the next 13 stitches. So you go ahead and make 13 single crochet stitches and come back to the video. We'll do the next part together. Next, we are going to slip stitch in the next stitch and half double crochet in the next stitch. That's once. Slip stitch in the next stitch and half double crochet in the next stitch. Slip stitch in the next stitch and half double crochet in the next stitch. Next, we're going to make 13 single crochet stitches across the next 13 stitches and then come back to the video. I have my 13 single crochet stitches now complete. In the next stitch, I'm going to half double crochet and then slip stitch. That's 1, half double crochet, slip stitch. That's 2, half double crochet, slip stitch. That's 3. And then can you guess what's happening next? We are going to make 13 single crochet stitches across the next 13 stitches. With my 13 single crochet stitches now complete, in the next stitch, I'm going to slip stitch. Then half double crochet in the next stitch, slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, slip stitch in the next, and half double crochet in the next. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 13 stitches. With 13 single crochet stitches now complete, we are going to half double crochet in the next stitch, followed by a slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, followed by a slip stitch in the next. And for the last time in this row, we're going to make one single crochet stitch in the next 13 stitches. So I've just made 13 single crochet stitches, and I now have 6 stitches left. What we're going to do in those last 6 stitches, we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch, followed by a half double crochet in the next, slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, slip stitch in the next, and then finally the last stitch of the row is a half double crochet. And I always find this last stitch when you have to half double crochet, it can be a little tight, but still work into it. And so you finish row 8 with a half double crochet stitch. So just a quick note, as you're making this blanket, if you notice any unevenness, so for example, if this section seems a little taller than another section, it's because we're using different stitches that have different heights. So the single crochet stitches are a little smaller than the half double crochet stitches. And I found that this blanket really needed to be blocked after it was finished. So after I finished it, I just pinned it down with rust-proof pins, sprayed with water, and left to dry. And then everything looked absolutely perfect. I found the single crochet stitches just needed to stretch a little bit. And once they were stretched out, the blanket looked completely even. So just wanted to warn you that if you see any unevenness, that's okay. And it should become really nice and even once you've blocked the finished blanket. For the next 3 rows, you're going to be repeating row 7, then row 8, and then row 7. So row 9, which is the next row, is going to be repeating row 7. Row 10 is going to be repeating row 8, and then row 11 is repeating row 7. So you go ahead and do those 3 rows and come back to the video, and we are going to do row 12 together. So I've just finished row 11, which was repeating row 7, and now I'm going to start row 12. So to start row 12, we are going to chain 1 and turn. In the next stitch, which is the first stitch, we are going to half double crochet, and then in the next stitch, slip stitch. And that completes those instructions once. Now half double crochet in the next stitch and slip stitch in the next stitch. That completes it twice. And lastly, half double crochet in the next stitch and slip stitch in the next stitch. Now we are going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So the next stitch, make a single crochet, that's 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In the next stitch, we are going to make our first bauble. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. A bauble in this pattern is 3 double crochet stitches together and all in the same stitch. So we're going to be working into the very next stitch, but before we even do that, we're going to yarn over, then insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through only 2 loops on our hook. And that's our first double crochet, but we're going to do 3 of those. So once again, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the same stitch that we just inserted our hook into, yarn over again, and pull through a loop. So now we have 4 loops on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through just 2 loops, and that's 2. And now we're going to do that one last time. So yarn over, insert our hook into the same stitch, yarn over, and pull that yarn through. So we're pulling up a loop. Right now we have 5 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through 2 loops on our hook. So now we have 4 loops on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over one last time and pull that yarn through all 4 loops on our hook. And that's our first bobble. In the next stitch, we're going to single crochet. The instructions actually say to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So let's make our first single crochet in the next stitch. And that's one of the 6 that we're going to be making. And now let's do a second, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth, and then finally is a 6. Now we are going to slip stitch in the next stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch, slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, slip stitch in the next, and then the last part of this section is a half double crochet stitch in the next stitch. Now we are going to single crochet across the next 13 stitches. So you go ahead and make 13 and then come back to the video. Next we're going to half double crochet and then slip stitch, that's 1, half double crochet, slip stitch, that's 2, half double crochet, and slip stitch, and that's 3. Now we're going to single crochet across the next 6 stitches, then make our bobble and crochet across the next 6 stitches after the bobble. So really quickly here, let's make 6 single crochet stitches. That was 3, 4, 5, and 6. The next stitch, we're going to make a bobble. So yarn over, insert our hook, pull our yarn through, yarn over through 2 loops. That's 1, and then that's 2, and that's 3. Now we're going to yarn over one last time, pull our yarn through all 4 loops, and we've made our bobble. Now we're going to single crochet across the next 6 stitches. With my 6 single crochet stitches now complete after the bobble, next I'm going to slip stitch in the next stitch, and then half double crochet, and that's 1, slip stitch, half double crochet, that's 2, slip stitch, half double crochet, that's 3, and then we are going to single crochet across the next 13 stitches. Next, we're going to half double crochet in the next stitch, slip stitch in the next. I feel like you know the drill at this point. Half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, and slip stitch. And then we're going to do the same thing for the section with the bobble, where we do 6 single crochet stitches and then a bobble. So really quickly here, 1 and 6, and then we're going to make a bobble in the next stitch. So that's 1, 2, and 3. There's our bobble, and now we're going to single crochet across the next 6 stitches. So that's 3, 5, and 6. My 6 single crochet stitches now complete after the bobble. We should have 6 stitches left. In those last 6 stitches, we are going to slip stitch and then half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch, and in the very last stitch we are going to half double crochet. Row 13 is going to be repeating row 7. So I'm not going to do that because you can just re-watch row 7 if you'd like. The only thing I want to mention, and I'll just chain 1 and turn like I'm about to do it, is when we work into the bobble from the previous row, nothing special happens. I just wanted to point out that you're still going to single crochet into it just like you would if it was any other stitch. It's just a little larger, but nothing special happens. So when you go to work into it, you just put your hook right into the top of the bobble and single crochet into it. And that's that. And I should also point out that when you counted your stitches for row 12, so pretend that I didn't just do that and I'm still finishing row 12, the bobble just counts as 1 stitch. So you still should have 101 stitches. So you go ahead and complete row 13, which is repeating row 7, and then come back to the video and we will do row 14 together. So I've just completed row 13, which was repeating row 7, and it's great to see it really start to come together. So to start row 14, I am going to chain 1 and turn. In the first stitch, we are going to half double crochet. And I made that last slip stitch a little too tight. That's why you always need to make them loose, but it's okay. Just try to work into it, or you can always do it again. So half double crochet in the first stitch, slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, and slip stitch in the next. Now we are going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to make a bobble in the next stitch. So feel free to re-watch my slow version of the bobble whenever you need to. So that's my bobble made, and now we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And in the next stitch, let's make another bobble. 1, 2, and 3, all in the same stitch. And that's my second bobble made. And now we're going to single crochet across the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at this point, I feel like you should be fully equipped to do the remainder of the row and the rest of the pattern. So head on over to the written instructions, which is going to tell you step by step how to make the rest of the blanket. So really everything else in this pattern has been covered in this video already. The only difference is just when you would do your 13 single crochet stitches and when you would do your bobbles, and that alternates based on what row you're on, but the pattern's just filled with repeats, and I hope this video has equipped you to be able to follow along with the rest of the pattern. As I mentioned previously, definitely I recommend blocking your finished blanket. Just pin it down with rust-proof pins, spray with water, leave to dry, and then I found it was much more even. But if you have any questions, if there's anything I can do to help, please reach out anytime. I really hope you enjoy this blanket. It is one of my favorite patterns ever. I just love it so much. I don't think the yellow really does it justice. I'm thinking about making it in a different color to really showcase the texture. But I do love the yellow in person when I see it, but then I don't know if it translates in a video or pictures. But anyway, I really hope you enjoy making it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and happy crocheting. Bye for now.